Hello and Happy New Year. Welcome to the first episode of the 5-Minute Check-In for the year 2023. Today is Thursday, January 12th. So today we're going to talk about the Quadrademic. That's the 4 viruses that are out in our communities: COVID, RSV, influenza, the common cold, which is really a mix of many different viruses. I'd also like to spend a few minutes reviewing the upcoming episodes. We have a lot of great speakers and topics that I know you'll all be interested in hearing about. But first, on Monday is Martin Luther King Day. It's a day that the nation pauses in order to honor the life and the work of Reverend Martin Luther King. In 1966, Dr. King said, "Of all forms of inequality, injustice in healthcare is the most shocking and inhumane." A core tenet of our mission here at Common Spirit and who we are as an organization is to pursue health equity and social justice for all. I am proud of the work that we are undertaking across our ministry to address these issues in communities we serve. So let's talk about the upcoming episodes. First up, we have an interesting conversation around many of the new clinical trials on obesity. We have some experts joining us from Baylor. We're going to look at those clinical trials and a new guideline in adolescents. We have Dr. Ankita Sagar, Dr. Sophia Richardson, who's going to talk to us about this concept of behavioral economics, or some summarize that to be nudges, that can help clinicians change our clinicians' behaviors to follow more evidences. Dr. Sagar is going to join us again to talk about a new trial in Paxlovid for COVID patients who test positive in the ambulatory setting. This trial demonstrated a reduction in mortality and hospitalizations. Dr. Krishnamurti is going to join us. She's a professor from Creighton University and discuss a publication that kind of challenges some of our expectations for screening colonoscopy and preventing colon cancer. Finally, we have a good friend of mine and a national expert in health policy, Dr. Peter Cram, who's going to talk to us about a thought piece that he published on JAMA around the issue of readmission. So a lot of really exciting topics, and I look forward to discussing that with them and with you in the near future. Let's get on and talk about what's happening with all these viruses in our communities. I think if there was a theme for this, it would be early and intense. If you look at this graphic on ILI, which is influenza-like illnesses, you can see that there was a dramatic bump up, and that ILI is the mix of the quadrademic viruses. That's COVID, influenza, RSV, and the common cold viruses such as rhino and adenoviruses. And if you take a closer look here on this graphic on the RSV, this really shows why we felt all that pressure early on in November and December. But thankfully, this has really tailed off. And what's happening with COVID is a bit of a different picture. There's been a slight bump in hospitalizations since November. But what's really interesting is that there's a new variant out there, XBB.1.5, and it's quickly becoming the dominant variant, making up to 25% of all cases in the United States. The good news is that the bivalent vaccines are proving very decent protection against this new variant, and they will continue to work, but we need to encourage our patients to get that booster now. So now and again, as all of you know, I like to share a podcast, an article, sometimes even a song that I found very interesting. Today, I'd like to share with you a podcast by Kelly Corrigan. And this one, she focuses on the power of wonder. And I think this is a nice podcast to listen to as we walk into the new year. And what I love about it, it really makes us appreciate some of the small things in our lives that we sometimes walk past unwittingly. So please enjoy the podcast, and I'll see you all in 2 weeks at the next 5-Minute Check-In.